was not experiencing knee pain for 1 or 2 weeks. This is somebody who had been experiencing knee pain for years. He had it for about 7 years and it hadn't gone away. He'd gone to see acupuncturists, chiropractors, all that type of stuff. With the one thing that eliminated his knee pain was those 2 exercises. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today, I'm going to be demonstrating a couple exercises you can incorporate to not only improve your squat, but also eliminate knee pain. But before I start, I'd just like to ask that if you're interested in these types of videos, be sure to smash that like button so I know to make more of these types of videos in the future. And if you're either new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, as I will be uploading new videos every single day. Now on to the topic at hand. Today, I'm going to be demonstrating a couple accessory lifts you can incorporate into your leg training. These exercises are terrific for not only improving your squat, but also eliminating knee pain. The 2 exercises are going to be the Peterson Step Up and the low pulley front foot elevated cable split squat. Now, how this video is going to work, before I get into the exercises, I want to explain why exactly the exercises are important and why a lot of people tend to suffer knee pain and why they have issues with their squat. I will then go into some real-world results from the exercises that I will be demonstrating for you today with some actual results that I have seen from clients in the past. Then I will demonstrate the exercises. If you would like to skip ahead to one of those particular topics, I will be including timestamps in the description. So if you don't want to watch the whole video, you want to go right to the demonstration or any other particular part in the video, go ahead, look in the description at the timestamps and you can skip ahead to the part you want to watch. Now, with regard to the exercises, one of the reasons people are going to have trouble with squatting, and also one of the reasons why people are going to have issues with hip and knee pain, is because vastus medialis and the hip stabilizers are going to be really weak in a lot of people. Now, the vastus medialis is one of the quadricep muscles. It is a knee extensor, and it is the most medial of the quad extensors. The vastus medialis is going to be that teardrop-shaped muscle on the inside of your thigh. It is going to be the most medial. Medial means towards the midline. Lateral is towards the outside, so away from the midline. So whenever you hear the terms medial or lateral, just remember medial coming towards the middle, lateral going away from the middle. The vastus medialis is the most medial part of the knee, and this is a muscle that is often weak in a lot of people. And oftentimes, when this muscle ends up getting strengthened, knee pain goes away, squat improves, and a lot of benefits can come from strengthening the vastus medialis. Another reason why people have issues with not only squatting but hip pain is going to be due to either weak adductors or just weak stabilizers of the hip in general. Now, to address the issue of a weak vastus medialis, the Peterson Step Up is a terrific exercise for that because it really pinpoints the vastus medialis and you can get much more effective and efficient use of the muscle fibers in the vastus medialis as opposed to doing other leg exercises like squats or lunges where it's more of a global approach. Whereas with a Peterson Step Up, it's more localized. You're able to pinpoint those fibers a little bit better. So it is better if you do have a weak vastus medialis to use an exercise like the Peterson Step Up, as you will get much more effective and efficient results if you are trying to strengthen your vastus medialis, as opposed to doing a more global exercise like a squat or a lunge. When it comes to the hip, an exercise that is terrific for strengthening the hip in terms of the stabilizers in the hip, the adductors, is going to be the front foot elevated low pulley cable split squat. Now with the front foot elevated low pulley split squat, the reason this exercise is so effective is because when you are doing a split squat, unlike a regular squat, you're in a staggered stance. And by being in a staggered stance, it will throw your balance off a little bit. So in order to improve your balance, your body has to use its stabilizer muscles a little bit more effectively. So a front foot elevated low pulley cable split squat is going to be really effective at helping to strengthen the stabilizers in the hip and also the adductors. One of the things that I like to do when incorporating a front foot elevated low pulley cable split squat is to incorporate a hold at the bottom position. By holding at the bottom position, what happens is all the structures and musculature around the hip and the knee are put under tension for longer. And because they're under tension for longer, it allows for greater strength gains. And because of the greater strength gains, it will help with stabilization of the hip and the knee. So that's why those 2 exercises are excellent for helping with squat performance and also with eliminating knee and hip pain. Now, in terms of actual results that I have seen from incorporating these exercises, I'll just give a couple of recent examples. One example is from one of my professional fighters. He had a lot of issues going into his fight at Madison Square Garden last year with regard to his hip and his knee. So this was an exercise that I gave him to help strengthen his vastus medialis and his hip stabilizers. What we found was within just a couple sessions, he noticed dramatic improvement in the decrease in pain in his knee. He wasn't experiencing any pain when he was running. He noticed that overall just his hips were feeling a lot better. His squat performance improved. When he was squatting originally, he had excessive hip hinging going forward. And by correcting that, he was able to squat much more functionally. He was more upright. And by maintaining an upright position, he wasn't putting as much of a strain on his hips, on his low back, and he was actually able to activate the proper muscles correctly. That was just one example. Now, I want to use an example even more recently of somebody who's not a professional athlete, because I understand that most people who watch my videos are not professional athletes. It's just people who want to get a little bit in shape. So I had a new client come to me recently a couple months ago, and one of his chief complaints was his left knee. He had been experiencing a lot of pain in his left knee for years, and this particular client is a construction worker, so he's up and down stairs a lot, and he's moving around a lot, lifting a lot of heavy loads. For him, it was really causing a negative effect when it came to his workplace performance. So he wanted me to address the knee issue. He obviously wanted other things addressed like weight loss, but one of his complaints that he came to me with was the knee pain. So same thing, I gave him the Peterson Step Up and I gave him the front foot elevated low pulley cable split squat. And after the first session, he noticed an improvement in his knee pain. By the second session, his pain was 100% gone. Now, this is a client where he was not experiencing knee pain for 1 or 2 weeks. This is somebody who had been experiencing knee pain for years. He had it for about 7 years and it hadn't gone away. He had gone to see acupuncturists, chiropractors, all that type of stuff. The one thing that eliminated his knee pain was those 2 exercises. The Peterson Step Up and the front foot elevated low pulley split squat after only 2 sessions. I'm not exaggerating. 2 sessions, 100% gone. Huge improvements after 1 session. After the second session, there was absolutely no pain. This client now, we've been training for 2 months. He is going to be starting his 3rd routine today. And one of the things with this client is the amount of improvement he has made from that first session all the way up until now. It's only been 2 programs that he's been working with me for, and he only trains 2 days a week. So in 8 sessions, he went from excruciating knee pain to having 0 knee pain. And now not only is his knee pain completely gone, but he's actually able to squat properly. One of the things when I assessed him was when he would squat, same as with my professional fighter, he had excessive leaning forward and hinging of the hips when he would squat. That was leading to a lot of tightness in his back. So by incorporating those 2 exercises, both of those were addressed, and his squat performance has improved. Now, we haven't been doing squats in his routine. We want to work up to that. So we've been doing more remedial versions of the squat. But in the next month or 2, we do plan on incorporating squats, and those 2 exercises were key in his program to get him to that point. Without those 2 exercises, it would have been really difficult to get him to be able to do a proper squat in such a short period of time. We would have been able to do it through other exercises because there are a lot of exercises that you can incorporate to be able to improve somebody's squat. However, it would have taken a much longer period of time. So if you're looking for the 2 best bang for your buck exercises when it comes to knee pain, hip pain, and improving squat performance, these 2 exercises are terrific. Now, I have to say that this is going to be on a person-to-person basis, but depending on the results of the assessment, they might not need the Peterson Step Up, they might not need the front foot elevated low pulley cable split squat. You're going to have to address each individual and then customize a program based off of the results. These are just 2 examples of people that benefited from these exercises, and based off of the results, these are the reasons that I gave them that, because based off of the assessment that I did with them, I found that their vastus medialis was weak, their hip stabilizers were weak, adductors were weak, so that's why these 2 exercises I gave to these people. If you have knee pain and hip pain and you haven't been assessed, then there's no guarantee that these 2 exercises are going to work for you. However, if you have had an assessment and you've been assessed by, let's say, a physiotherapist, they told you, oh, your knee extensors are weak, particularly your vastus medialis, and your hip stabilizers and adductors are weak, then you can try incorporating these 2 exercises, see if they help. If you are experiencing any type of pain, stop the exercise right away. You do not want to continue doing an exercise if you are experiencing pain. It could be the exercise, or it could be that you're performing it incorrectly. If you are not sure whether it's the exercise or you are performing it incorrectly, find a qualified professional near your area. If you're not sure where to find a qualified professional, visit my website, teameuphoric.com, go under the About Us section. Under the About Us section, every single course I've listed are courses that I've taken, and I also have links redirecting you to those websites of the courses and those institutes. Once you go to those websites, You can find a directory of trainers in your area that can help you. Don't just find somebody randomly at the gym. 99% of the trainers that you go to in a gym are going to be complete garbage. Most of them have just done a 3-day course. A lot of them haven't even done a 3-day course. All they've done is walked into the door, said I want a personal training position, and then they're handed a job. Trust me, I've worked in gyms, big box gyms in the past, and that's how it works. You don't even need any type of qualifications. A lot of these gyms, they'll just give you a job and they'll give you a time limit. So a gym that I used to work at, what happened was they would hire people with 0 experience and say you have 3 months to get this particular certification, and that particular certification just so happened to be a certification that was owned by the actual company. So you basically had to pay the company money to work for them. So try to avoid going into a big box gym and just hiring the first person you see, because chances are they're not going to be able to properly assess you. Visit my website, check out those different institutes, check out practitioners in your area and look for one of them. If you don't want to go through all that trouble, then you can send me a message. We could do a video consultation and I could check out, do some movement assessments, see how exactly everything's functioning in terms of your performance, so we can check out your movement posture, all that type of stuff. That's for a different video. Now I'm going to get on to demonstrating the actual exercises. First, I'm going to demonstrate the Peterson Step Up, and second, I will demonstrate the front foot elevated low pulley cable split squat. All right, so the first exercise that I'm going to be demonstrating for you is going to be the Peterson Step Up. The Peterson Step Up is going to be terrific for strengthening the vastus medialis. Again, the vastus medialis is the leg extensor, so the quadricep muscle that is the most medial on the thigh. It's going to be this teardrop shape right over here, this teardrop muscle. Now, with this particular exercise, there are a few very important things that you need to note when doing this exercise. First thing is, depending on your level of strength in your knee, if you're very deconditioned, you may want to get a smaller step. Most people on average, 6 inches to start will be a good measurement. However, if you're very deconditioned or if you're coming back from an injury, anything like that, you may want to start on something smaller, something like a weight plate or even a textbook. You don't need to go right for 6 inches, and if you are stronger, then you can incorporate a little bit of a higher lift, but figure out what type of height you need for you. Once you figure out the right height, as you get stronger, then you can keep increasing it incrementally. Now, for the Peterson Step Up, the leg that you are going to be strengthening is going to be the leg that is going to be on the actual step. Once you have your foot on the step, what you want to do is take your foot, turn it out about 10 to 15 degrees. Once you have it turned out to 10 to 15 degrees, you're going to go onto your toes. Now, that is the setup for the leg that you are working. For the non-working leg, you want to line up the heel with the toes of the front foot. So you are just going to line it up so that the back of your heel is in line with the front of your toes that are on the step. Once you are in this setup position, then you can begin the exercise. One of the things with the Peterson Step Up is another little tweak that you could do that will make it more beneficial and will make it a lot easier for you to do the exercise without cheating, is lifting up your toes. By lifting up your toes, you won't be allowed to use momentum and propel yourself using the bottom leg. So you won't be able to do that if your toes are elevated, because if your toes are elevated, then everything is going to be coming from the leg that is actually working. Now onto the exercise once again. So again, set up, foot 10 to 15 degrees out, on the toes, heel in line with the toes. We're gonna lift the toes up, and for this exercise, we're just gonna come straight up, straight down. Up, down, up, down, up, down. I'm gonna show you now from the side. Foot on here, toes out 10 to 15 degrees, on your toes, line up the heel with the toes, lift the toes on the bottom leg, up, down, up, down. Now, with regard to this exercise, ideally, in terms of the tempo, you want to go 1 up, 1 down. So 1 second, 1 second. No resting at the top, no resting at the bottom. And in terms of repetitions, ideally 20 to 25 repetitions. The reason we are going to do 20 to 25 repetitions is because your quads or your leg extensors are a primarily slow twitch muscle group. So generally speaking, slow twitch muscle groups are going to respond better to higher repetitions and longer time under tension. So that is why we are going to be doing 20 to 25 repetitions. If you were working on a phasic muscle or a fast twitch muscle, ideally you would want to do lower repetitions and heavier weight. However, for postural muscles or tonic muscles, you want to do higher repetitions for longer duration of time in terms of time under tension. That is how you perform the Peterson Step Up. Next, I'm going to show you how to do the front foot elevated low pulley cable split squat. With regard to the front foot elevated low pulley cable split squat, the first thing you're going to want to do is set up a step on the floor. I have a plyo box. You don't need to use a plyo box. If you don't have a plyo box available, you can use an aerobic stepper and put a couple of spacers underneath it just to add height. You could also do that for the Peterson Step Up if you don't happen to have a plyo box. Now, with regard to the actual setup position, what you want to do is you are going to be facing the cable machine. Once you're facing the cable machine, you want to have the cable attachment at the lowest setting possible. Whatever leg you are working, the opposite arm is going to be holding on to the cable. Now, whenever you have a leg that is working and you have a weight in the opposite arm, that is what is referred to as a contralateral lift. Contralateral means you're doing the opposite of the side that you are working. So if we were doing this same exercise and the weight was in the hand of the same leg we were working, it would be an ipsilateral lift. Ipsilateral is going to be the same side. That's the first thing worth noting. Second thing worth noting is, as I stated previously, with this exercise, ideally, because we're trying to stabilize the muscles in the hip and strengthen the adductors, we are going to want to pause once we get to the bottom position. The reason we want to pause when we get to the bottom position is because when we pause, we have to accentuate the use of the muscles in the hip and the adductors. And again, if we have the weight in the opposite arm, by getting in that position right over there, once we're at the bottom position, we need to be able to have good stabilization in the hip and the knee to be able to hold that position. If we don't have stabilization in the hip and our muscles are very, very weak, it's going to be very difficult to hold that position. So by incorporating a pause at the bottom of the lift, it will help stabilize the muscles of the hip a lot more effectively and a lot more efficiently than if you just go right into it and right out of it really quickly. We want to do it slow and controlled. If you can do it slow and controlled, the strength gains will be much more beneficial and you will get much greater strength gains. One of the reasons being is when you do something slowly, particularly an eccentric component of a lift, the eccentric portion is the lowering phase, your IGF-1 increases and also the amount of recruitment in the different muscle fibers will be increased. So you're going to get more muscle activation by doing it slow and controlled as opposed to just repping it out really, really quickly as fast as you can. And again, because we want to improve stabilization and strengthen, that negative is going to be very important. We want to go slow and controlled. You don't want to just go right in and out of it. Now with regard to this exercise, once we have our setup, so for the setup, we're going to place one foot on the step. Whatever foot is on the step, the back leg, we are going to place it back, as I just said. And the other thing is the toes are going to be pointing forward. You don't want the toes pointing out, you don't want them pointing in, you want them pointing straight ahead. Once you're in your setup position, then you can go ahead and grab a hold of the cable attachment. One other thing worth noting with this exercise is when you are doing the exercise, you want to maintain a vertical torso. A lot of people, when they do the exercise, they're going to hinge forward like this. You don't want to do it like that. If you do it like that, what's going to happen is you're going to work more on your lower back and gluteal muscles as opposed to strengthening the muscles of the hip and the knee. So we really want to focus on maintaining a tall vertical spine. By maintaining a tall vertical spine, we're going to be recruiting the proper muscles, and by recruiting the proper muscles, we're going to get the most efficient and effective use of this exercise. So again, back to the exercise, we're going to place our foot right on the step. Back leg is going to be pointing straight ahead. This arm, you can do whatever with it. You could put it out for balance, you can put it over here. You don't want to put it on your leg because then you could use it to cheat for the lift, but just put it wherever you want so that it doesn't get in your way. Once we actually get to the exercise, as I stated, we're going to do slow and controlled. So we want to do a 3-second negative. 1, 2, 3. Hold it for 2 seconds at the bottom, and then come up for 1 second. 1, 2, 3. Hold. Hold. 1, 1, 2, 3. Hold. Hold. 2. Another thing worth noting is the back leg. Ideally, the back leg, you want to try and keep it as straight as possible at the knee. Now, if you have to bend it a little bit, that's fine, but you don't want to do like a lunge where your knee is coming down to the ground. If you do it the same way as you would do a lunge, you're not going to be getting the most effective and efficient use of all the musculature in the hip and knee. By keeping the legs straight, it's going to be much more effective for this particular exercise. That is not the case when it comes to an exercise like a lunge, but for this exercise, you want to keep the back leg as straight as possible. You want to be as vertical as possible, so your ear, shoulder, hip should be in one straight line. You want to go slow and controlled, 3 seconds down, pause for 2 at the bottom, come up for 1 second, and that is how you perform the front foot elevated low pulley cable split squat. Now, in terms of how you would incorporate these exercises into your lower body training day to help eliminate knee pain, eliminate hip pain, and improve your squat performance, one of the ways that I've done this exercise is for the Peterson Step Up, ideally 4 sets, 20 to 25 repetitions at a 1-0-1-0 tempo. What that means is you come up for 1 second, down for 1 second, up for 1, down for 1. Do that for 20 to 25 repetitions on each side, rest 60 seconds. Then you would come on to this exercise, 10 to 12 repetitions at a 3-2-1-0 tempo. What that means, you go down for 3 seconds, hold it for 2 at the bottom, come up for 1 second. Once you've done 10 to 12 repetitions, you switch legs, you rest for 60 seconds, you go back to the Peterson Step Up. If your quad is really, really weak, particularly if your VMO is really, really weak and you need a lot of stabilization in the hip, you can start by doing 4 sets of the exercise. If it's weak, but you don't want it to affect the rest of your workout, one thing you could do is do 2 sets at the beginning just to warm up all those muscles and build up a little bit of strength. Do your workout, then do 2 more sets at the very end of your workout. That way you're still getting 4 sets of these 2 exercises, but you're not draining yourself at the beginning of the routine. Now, if your quad and your hip is relatively pretty good, you just need to strengthen it a little bit, it's not too far behind in terms of your strength, then what you can do is do your entire workout first, and then at the very end of your workout, then you would do 2 sets of these 2 exercises. You don't need to do 4 sets if you already have decent strength and you're looking just to improve it a little bit more. So those are some ways that you can incorporate it. And one last time, I'm just going to sum everything up. If you're really, really weak in your VMO, your hips, and your adductors, you want to do 4 sets of these 2 exercises. Do all 4 at the very beginning. You're going to do 4 sets supersetted. 20 to 25 repetitions of the Peterson Step Up, rest for 60 seconds, 12 repetitions of the front foot elevated low pulley cable split squat. You are going to do 1-0-1-0 tempo on the Peterson Step Up, 3-2-1-0 tempo on the front foot elevated low pulley cable split squat. If you have poor strength in your quad and your hip and your adductors, but you don't want it to negatively affect your workout, you can do 2 sets at the beginning, do your workout, 2 sets at the end. If you already have decent strength in your quad, adductor, and hip stabilizers, then you can do your entire workout first, just do 2 sets at the very end. That is how you can incorporate these 2 exercises into your routine to not only improve your squat, but also eliminate knee pain and help with hip stabilization. That covers it for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to smash that like button so I know to make more of these types of videos in the future. And if you're either new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, as I will be uploading new videos every single day. That's it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you again tomorrow.